It's time for Third Calling, where we ask the question, what are you doing the rest of your life? Perhaps you've retired, your nest is empty, you're in a transition, or thinking about what to do and be in a new season of life. Richard and Leona Bergstrom are co-directors of Reignite and authors of the book Third Calling. They're here to challenge and encourage each of us to follow God's calling and live with purpose and passion for the rest of our lives.
And this is Third Calling with Richard and Leona Bergstrom. What are you doing the rest of your life? I've been kind of throwing in with the rest of your life, but I've been corrected on that. What are you doing the rest of your life? Basically, first part of your life. Why don't you, Leona, tell us again, what do you mean by first, second? What is the third calling?
Oh, we've sort of divided our adult life, and clearly it's different for everybody, but that first calling being when we first maybe graduate from college, pursue education, maybe get married, maybe have kids, all those early years of adulthood where we're developing who we are. Mm-hmm. We called that our first calling. Second calling sort of starts 30s, 40s when you're just surviving in some ways, or you're accelerating in your career, acquiring, right. Surviving, developing your career and your family and whatnot. And then something happens. We say it might be the emptying of a nest or a death of a loved one, your own health crisis, your own retirement, a certain age, where you're catapulted into asking, what do I do the rest of my life? And we're calling that our third calling. What is it God has developed you to be, designed you to be?
Okay, well, this week we're into principle number 8, and the big word legacy comes into play here.
Legacy, so important. In this third calling, we're really developing what it is we leave behind. And we say don't just leave a legacy, but live that legacy. And we do that primarily through a word the psychologists call generativity, which means giving to the next generations. And we do that through intergenerational relationships and projects and investing in the generations to follow.
Well, Richard, how can we develop relationships then with the next generation, other than teaching Sunday school?
Well, interestingly enough, we're reading a book in the culture by Mark Friedman called How to Live Forever, which is a misleading title for those in your Christian audience because it's about investing in the next generations and leaving a legacy through your imprint that you leave. But for us as Christians, that's vitally important to pass on our faith and our understanding of God's faithfulness through the generations. But we're exploring right now with our local church how we as a congregation can mobilize our people to invest in that next generation. For some people, it's just being more intentional about their relationship, perhaps with their grandchildren. Mm-hmm. There's a great movement going on right now within the Christian church called the Legacy Coalition, which sponsors an annual grandparenting conference. It's been going on for the last 3 years. And a lot of people are capturing a vision for how they can intentionally influence and leave an impact upon their grandchildren. Beyond that, we're looking at ways in which we can resource our local school district in mentoring this fall with children in school. Some need tutoring. Some need just a relationship with an older adult, someone that would be their champion, that would believe in them and be an encouragement to them.
Well, giving back to the next generation, whether it's your own family as being a grandparent, but, I'm finding, too, so many grandparents are being presented with being parents again of their kids. That's happening a lot.
That's very true.
A lot of a whole segment of our generation is raising grandchildren because of issues like prison, divorce, drug addiction, all kinds of things that have brought the grandchildren back into a primary relationship with their grandparents. Our own family this week celebrated 18th birthdays of 2 of our nephews who our sister has raised their whole life. And what a opportunity to live a legacy, also a huge challenge.
Giving back to the next generation, so important. That can be very much part of all of our third calling. And you have an interesting outreach you're doing with your Reignite website now, too. Tell us, you've got some online courses.
Yes, we're continually challenged to take our message to a broader audience. So we wrote the book Third Calling, but then not everyone can bring us to another part of the country or the world to do a retreat. And so we took on the challenge of developing our course as an online video course. And now it's available through our website where people can enroll as an individual or as a small group or as a large group.
Perfect. So
we don't necessarily have to travel to them. They can go on their computer online and get the entire content of our retreat and concepts from our book by taking the online course.
And they can get to that by either one of your websites, re-ignite.net or thirdcalling.com. Third Calling, the radio feature here with Richard and Leona Bergstrom on KCIS.
You've been listening to Richard and Leona Bergstrom, directors of Reignite and authors of Third Calling. What are you doing the rest of your life? To learn more about discovering your purpose and following your calling, visit thirdcalling.com. You can order their book, as well as an accompanying study guide on Amazon or on the Third Calling website. You can also listen to this feature again at kcisradio.com.